Welcome to the Grow Old Disgracefully podcast with myself, Andy, and the amazing Ruth. How are you, Ruth?
I'm good, thank you, Andy. I'm loving the introduction. I,
I know.
Andy remembers the name of the podcast, so
Well, to be fair, that was what I was doing when I said, wait a minute, I was like looking on Spotify going, what did we call it again? And it's also episode 5.
episode 5.
I-
I was just saying to Andy that the feedback I got from the last episode was that people were outraged that you don't like sweet potato.
Yeah, those people mean nothing to me. If you like sweet potato, leave. Just go.
I also fed back to Claire because I sent her a message and I was like, you need to go and listen to the podcast because Andy was ripping you eating pickled herring. And she was like, why? Why was Andy doing that? I was like, because it's pickled herring.
Yeah, because it smells and tastes like ass. But to be fair, it's one of those ones like, let's get some rotten fish, and how can we make it worse? Let's add some pickle juice to it. Great quality chat. Brilliant.
Well, Maya, you remember Maya? She also messaged me and was like, he's wrong about pickled herring. So
Please don't say somebody said the same about pickled eel or jellied eel, because that is just the.
no. Do you know, we went to a wedding in Poland years and years ago, and I hadn't been prepped on what happens at weddings in Poland, but you get lots of courses, and it was all the Scottish contingent that were there. So it was a lot of vodka going down as well. But what I didn't realise, I was pregnant with Arthur, so it was a long time ago, is that they bring out courses and, you know, being very polite, I felt like I had to finish each course, but they just keep bringing out food. It's like courses all night. But every other course seemed to be something that was jellied, like jellied something.
Yeah.
And I was like, couldn't do it. Blamed pregnancy.
Don't blame the pregnancy. Just anything jelly's just not. Like even jelly. No, nah, not for me.
Oh really? I quite like a nice raspberry or strawberry jelly.
I like it if you're talking about jam that goes on toast and you're calling jam jelly. That's different. But yeah, no, not for me. I don't know. I think it's a textural thing, isn't it?
What about trifle?
Oh, absolutely no. That. Nah, especially the fact that people start putting stuff like sponge into the jelly.
That is what it is.
Yeah, but that's just it's not right. It's not right. Cake isn't supposed to be that moist. It's to the point where it's
right. You're gonna love this. Those sponges that you put in a trifle, they're called a lady finger.
Lady fingers. Yes. The less said about that, the better. And then we've also got custard. I'm just not a custard fan. I don't do custard.
Okay, I feel like we've got quite opposite tastes because I do like custard, although it has to be kind of thick custard, no runny milky stuff. Not keen on that.
Yeah, I'm not a huge custard fan.
Oh, right. Well, I'm sure we'll come back to food very shortly because I went to my first barbecue of the year on Sunday because the weather's so good. It's so good. And
it's crazy.
And actually, somebody's put out a post, I've forgotten what it said exactly, but it was like, we've made it kind of through winter. And I thought, yeah, you don't even realise how shit you feel until the sun starts shining. You're like, oh, I remember now. This is how good you can feel.
Yeah. Sun, this is what vitamin D feels like on my skin.
I'm just so much better when it's sunny.
Yeah. I know lots of folk like that. I'm not too bad. I actually don't mind the dark mornings and the cold. I'm a bit more of a cold person, actually. So heat for me, I'm proper Scottish. Under this dark hair, I'm ginger. So yeah, it's it's a worrying time for us people that burn. Like this is check if you haven't already, if you've got fair skinned friends, make sure you check on them in this weather and make sure they've got their sun cream on because it could be a dangerous time.
My husband is one of those people, and he is also from Scotland. And I say he's a member of the Moontan clan. He's just so pale. He's so white, so white. And we went away. We lived in Barbados for a year, which his friends found hilarious that he even went there because he doesn't love the heat. And he came back and he was probably off white, just a tiny. People didn't believe that he'd been away for a year, but he was tanned. It's just he doesn't go that
He
tan.
was extremely tanned for what he normally is what you're saying.
Exactly. He's just very pale.
Yeah.
But he's quite happy with winter, which I find really
I
hard
think
to.
to be fair, I think it's probably a Scottish thing as well. Like we even now we're not getting too excited about this weather because probably tomorrow we'll have snow. It's just that's how we work in Scotland. It's the hope of a beautiful sunny summer that kills you. It's the hope for anything that kills you when you're Scottish. So
Well,
we don't get excited. If tomorrow is 12 degrees and sunny, we'll be buzzing. Although this is also the first we're in the 1st of April. It's beautiful sunshine. There's somebody somewhere in Scotland that's
tops.
wandering around with their top taps off.
Yeah, because you've got the website. What's the weather in Scotland? Is it Tapsaf or haven't you? You've got a
Taps on.
whole. Yeah,
Yeah. To be fair, taps off's anything over like 4 degrees. So we're
yeah.
winning.
Actually, I might go to that website and just have a look what they say. Taps.
Taps
There you
off
go.
weather.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm at. It's Glasgow, and it says it is Tapsaf. Yeah, it's
Aye.
16 degrees.
Taps off.
I mean, bonkers. Yeah. And then they say taps, it's OAN for tops on.
Taps
Taps
on and taps off.
on.
AFF or
There
oof.
you go. Oof.
OAF. Oof.
There. I love, well, I love it that it is like that. And I went to Edinburgh once and I was wrapped up. It was bloody freezing in April. I was so cold. I looked around and there were guys just walking around with their tops off. And I was like, what
I'll
is
be
going on
honest,
here?
I was probably one of them. I'm exactly the same. So it's all
I
good.
mean, yeah, it's fine, isn't it? But for me, it really does change my mood. I feel much kind of more alive when we've got bright blue skies. It doesn't actually necessarily have to be hot. It just has to be bright. I think that's
Yeah.
what I miss. Is
Well,
bright
that's it. I
blues.
think even in Scotland during the winter, the depressing days are the ones where it's like miserable. Like it can be. It was really strange. So there was quite an interesting one in December. So Laura went. Where did Laura went away with her mum and her sister? And I think that must have been. In fact, it must have been January. So the day before she went away, we took a walk around, like our normal walks, like around the back of the golf course, which is on the side of the Pentlands, which is the big hills behind Edinburgh. So we walked around there, and it was 9 degrees. So it wasn't cold; it was 9 degrees, but it was overcast and misty, and it felt like it was like about -20. And then they flew off on the first, and I took the dog out for a walk on the second, and it was -2, but sunny and dry, and I was wandering around I was wandering around a light top and shorts with my walking boots on, and folk are going, "Are you mental?" I'm like, "It's bit I can handle -6, -8 when it's dry. It's when it's wet that's the issue."
Yeah, I go to Canada like in the winter. Well, I was until a couple of
Mm.
years ago, but I used to go each year. And I used to feel, even though it get very cold there, I'd feel warmer there because you don't get that deep down damp, wet
Yeah.
cold. Like it rains a lot here, and I'd feel cold if I get wet here than if
Yep.
I'm in Canada and I'm wrapped up for the weather, then I'm fine. It's not that bad at all. In bright blue skies, it's different. It's
Yeah,
different.
it was the same when we were in Austria. Laura skis when we were in Austria. It was like -13 at one point, and I was wandering around. I wandered down to the gym in shorts and t-shirt, and folk are looking at you as if to say, "Are you mental?" It's like this isn't cold though. Like it's sunny and it's dry. Yeah, it's -13, but it's sunny and dry. It's when it's damp that it just goes through you, especially when you get old like us. Your joints start to get sore. Everything aches a little bit more. You know when you've got your niggles because it's cold and damp, and you're like, oh. Whereas when it's
I've got
cold and dry, it's fine.
I mean, that is an annoying thing. So I'm all, I will go on and on about how good you can feel in midlife and beyond. You can. But
Yeah.
I am a bit annoyed that my back keeps aching at the moment.
Are you at the point now where you wake up in the like when I was younger, I used to wake up in the morning and like spring out of bed and be like, oh, I'm ready to go in the day. And whilst I'm still in that mindset, I wake up in the morning and open one eye and I go, is there anything sore today? Is anything in pain? Am my knees okay? It's a little
You
bit longer to get yourself settled for the day.
you know that body scan that everyone get, the meditation, the body scan.
Yeah,
You're just going through the where does it hurt?
yeah, yeah.
But
we actually just bought a new mattress because our mattress is like our mattress has probably been in Edinburgh the same length of time I have, so about 25 years. It's probably that old because I've just moved it everywhere I've went. And it's now to the point where if I sleep in it, Laura literally rolls into me because it's because I'm heavier than her, she just rolls in. So yeah,
oh,
so we got a new mattress. So hopefully that sorts some aches and pains out as well.
yeah, and the aches and pains. But our bodies had more wear and tear. Some even
Yeah,
more if you've been playing a lot of football and so on. Mine,
yeah, absolutely.
I get up in the morning and I do feel like I have to warm up a little bit more than I used to, for sure. I don't like going straight into a workout first thing in the morning. I know a lot of people really like that, but for me,
Mm,
I feel like I'm in a luxurious position where I don't have to fit in a workout before work because I can do my
yeah.
day around it. But for me, an ideal time would be after 9 in the morning, really.
Yep, yep.
That's when I like to work out. But
Yeah, I think it's obviously it's one of those ones where, you know, the more experience you get in life, we'll not call it age, we'll call it experience you have in life, you start to understand what your body needs. You know, it's the same, but when you're younger, to be fair, when you're younger, you kind of abuse the fact that your body's in a good place and you probably don't look after it as well as you wish you did now. So do I wish that I looked after my body better when I was 21? Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, but we're at a point now where I'm like, do you know what? I'm actually in a pretty good place because I'm still looking after myself to a pretty good degree. Do I think I could probably feel better? I actually don't know. I don't know if I could. I would because of obviously stupid things like injuries and stuff. Like
mm,
my knees sore generally when it's cold and damp because I had to get an ACL reconstruction. But that's just life. But apart
yeah,
from
but
that,
would you have
everything else,
changed if you'd tried to avoid injuries completely? Then you wouldn't have been
you
playing
wouldn't.
sport,
Yeah,
so you wouldn't have.
exactly.
So it wouldn't have been like that for you. Your life wouldn't be the way it is. I mean, you're not looking after yourself when you're 21 is going to be very different than me not looking after myself when I was 21. Because when I was 21, not looking after myself, I was drinking and having,
Yeah.
those.
Mine's just playing 7 games of
Yeah,
football over the course of like 5 days.
exactly. I mean, I was exercising, but I was burning the candle at both ends massively. So it's
Yeah.
very, very different. Whereas I think your way, probably longevity wise, is better than what I was doing.
Yeah, and I think it's also one of those ones as well. I think we've said in previous podcasts that, things it's never too late to get started with becoming stronger, becoming possibly a little bit more flexible, a bit more mobile. I've had a client who was asking about doing some extra mobility work and simple things like there's a guy called Joe DeFranco who is an
Oh,
American
yeah.
strength and conditioning coach. He works with wrestlers and NFL football, North American footballers, and he's got a couple of or 3 or 4 very very good mobility drills. The Agile 8 and the Limber 11 are kind of lower body mobility, and he's got a couple of really nice upper body mobility drills as well. And you could add them into your training. You add them in as a workout, as a warm up at the start of your session. You could add them in as a warm up during the day. You could put it in as part of your morning routine if you wanted. It takes 10 minutes in the morning to do. You could put that as part of your morning routine. And it's never too late to get these things put into your lifestyle, basically.
You want to make it as simple as possible, don't you? For
Yeah.
me, it's my QL that's probably causing my back pain. So I've put it, it's in my warm up. I'm doing the exercises in my warm up. I will do them at
Yep.
other points in the day, kind of with less structure, but I'll put them
Yep.
there because then I make sure at least doing them at that time. So it can work really well just to add in a couple of those exercises before you begin your main workout. Sure.
Yeah, and anytime physios, I always find definitely depends on the physio that you have, but physios I've worked with in the past have always been very positive about continuing to training around the injuries, etc., or any niggles. And yeah, I would always put my rehab into my workout, so I would use it as a warm up method or a cool down method, or as part of actually in between sets. So just because my potentially I had a bit of an issue with my glutes at one point, my hamstrings. Just because I'm doing chest doesn't mean that I couldn't do some like some mobility work with my glutes between sets. So actually, these things, I think everybody's like, oh, I've got to set aside proper time to do this. No, you can still do this alongside the rest of your training. And if you want to do it by itself, absolutely, no issues why you can't do that. But incorporate it into your workout so it all goes at one time. So, it's makes it much easier and much more manageable.
I've always thought that a PT working alongside a physio is the best approach. So if clients of mine have been to see the physio, if I'm not going to be talking directly with the physio, I'll say, send me across the exercises they've given you to do. And then I will make sure that I can incorporate those sorts of movement patterns
Yeah,
into their workouts, because then we can make sure that they're doing it. Because it isn't, when you've got an injury, it's really easy to not do the things that are going to make it better because it's
yeah.
uncomfortable. And there's a reason that you've got an imbalance or weakness there. And it's probably because you haven't been doing the work and it's going to be a bit harder to get it better.
Absolutely, and I think it is, especially if you do train and you have rehab to do. Is it easier to do your rehab whilst you're training, or is it easy to try and set aside time in the rest of the day? It's easier to do it while you're training because you're in a gym, you're in a training environment. You may as well do the stuff there rather than sitting going, "Oh man, I've got to get up from the desk now and go and try and do some pin stretching for my hamstring or my glutes." Sitting there in work trousers, or you've just come off a work call. Not probably a great time to do it. It might be a great time for some people, but for the majority, probably not. So putting it in amongst your gym sessions is, and that exactly as you mentioned, for me, the best physios I've worked with are the physios that give you, are proactive about helping you continue to stay active and train and do the things that you want to do. Because as soon as you get told you don't want to do it, you're just like, I've lost interest. I just want to get back to playing football or back to running. And straight away, you just start to push your rehab that you should be doing to the side because you'd rather focus on the things that you enjoy.
So my mum hopefully won't listen to this podcast because I'm about to berate her.
And also the fact that I swear so much, I hope your mum doesn't listen to it. Otherwise,
I don't think she does.
She'll need earphones.
No, it's fine. But so I've got a really good physio that I go to who's a runner and active, does a lot of strength training herself, and she'll always be, it's about getting you back to doing what you like. And a lot of the time she's like, see what you can cope with as well, load it. If you feel
Yeah.
like you can load it. My mum went to a different physio. I think it was a hospital physio, and it's no judgment on any particular type of physio, but she's I think she's got, I mean, I'm not a physio, so who knows exactly what she's got, but she's been getting tightness through her hips and pain through her hips. And her physio told her it's because she's walking uphill too much and she's not allowed to walk uphill anymore. And I was like, you're not.
She better not live in Edinburgh because
Well, she
fucking
lives
place,
at the bottom.
fucking place is based in hills.
Well, she lives by a river. So if you're going to walk out of her village, she has to go uphill. So she's like, I can't walk at the moment. And I'm like, I have literally never heard someone, unless you've got like a broken leg you can't walk on, there are reasons to be told not to walk at all. And she's like, no, I'm allowed to walk on the flat. And I said, I'm surprised you've not been given some strengthening exercises. I think she has been given some bits to do, but there's an imbalance there. But normally an
Yeah.
imbalance would be strengthen up the opposite so
Yeah.
that you could not just avoid completely doing one of the
And
things.
sadly, that sounds like a very old school physio mentality, or a mentality of a physio who works with people who are sedentary. That's not really how, unfortunately, the body works. You can't. It's not how the body works, but it's also not how life works. What happens if her car breaks down and she has to walk to the village? Does she got to walk backwards up the hill? Like,
Well,
what's the
I said
script?
that. Because I said to her, oh, does that mean you can walk down hills then if you're not allowed to walk up hills? She went, no, because I lean forward going downhill too. So it's because she's leaning forward and marching up the hill and
But
that
you
she's
do,
getting.
but you do that anyway. I do that. Everybody does that. If you're
Yeah,
walking
but the
uphill, you lean forward. If you're walking downhill, most people will lean slightly back because you don't want to increase your momentum firing off down a hill. So
yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, if you're running down a hill, you might lean forward a bit. But
yep,
regardless, she's not running down a hill because I said, oh, just get my stepdad to drop you at the top of the hill, walk
yeah.
down, and then she
Imagine,
was like,
imagine Usain Bolt sprinting 100 meters standing completely upright. It'd be hilarious.
I mean, it's quite funny to watch the people that are running very upright. But yeah, I actually want to talk to my physio and just go, what? Because I thought maybe I'm missing something, but
No,
you know,
I wouldn't have said so. And I've not,
mm,
I don't have the knowledge of a physio, but that sounds like I'd be a bit dubious about that one myself.
yeah. Yeah, but when we were going back to the timings to do it, you mentioned about doing it within your workout, the exercises that you're being given. But with any habit, it really is going to be this thing I'm really struggling to do. And it might just be that you don't want to do it. How can I make it easier?
Hmm.
Whatever it is, how can I make it easier to do? And if that's do it with your workout, great. If that's I need to make it a bit shorter and do it more often through the day, great, do that. And that can be with so many things. My door's just flown open out here. I'm just going to go and close it.
No worries. But yeah, I think it's a kind of similar thing with within people's training as well. It's, how do you I know a lot of people quite like using not old fashioned, but like the old school method of warming up, of jumping on the treadmill, going across trainer, rowing machine, whatever it is. But actually, for if you're short on time, is that actually going to be a beneficial warm up? Is going and jumping on the cross trainer going to be beneficial for you if you're doing a chest and shoulder session? Probably not. So, this is where we kind of look at it, in terms of, as you build a program, adding in some mobility, some warm ups within the sets that are there to design to help mobility throughout the exercise. So you're trying to increase your range of movement with a slightly lighter weight to get things moving, get the muscles activated. Um, and working it from that way, your warming up is actually in session rather than going away and doing a different piece of a cardio kit as your warm up. It does save a bit of time, but at the same point, is jumping on a cross trainer for 15 minutes going to be bad? Is it bad? No, it's not bad. But is it specific to the training session you've got coming up? Again, even if you're doing legs, probably not. It's going to warm them up, but actually, the first part of the exercise that you're going to do is the movement pattern of the exercise. So, you do if you're training squats, you'll do a couple of sets of squats to get the legs moving, and then start to build it from there. So yeah, it's and again, the physios are physio. To have a good physio is like, it's like having the golden egg, isn't it? It's an absolute win if you find a physio that is a very good physio, but also very proactive about helping you continue to be active whilst you're possibly having to do some rehab or some prehab work. And that makes a big difference, especially I think now that more physios have actual in like experience of themselves training, whereas previous physios when I was younger working with, none of them trained, whereas now the majority of physios that I see and I know all train, and they all train to a very high level. So being able to incorporate that with people, because obviously the society is now very health conscious, you know having somebody being sedentary who is normally training 5 days a week for 3 weeks because they're injured, this isn't going to work. It's not going to fly, because that's when you end up just getting people going, you know what, fuck it, I'm off. I'm going to go and train. I'll train through the injury rather than having to sit here on my backside scratching my arse. So yeah, it is a big
I
one.
mean, I wouldn't get any sympathy from from my physio if I was being ridiculous. I sent her a message actually. I wouldn't normally ask, am I actually okay? I was thinking maybe it was when my back started getting bad, and I was like, I am getting like nervy tingly pain through my leg,
Yep.
and I was like, it's probably just nervy. But I thought, oh, maybe I'm being ridiculous, not reaching out to anyone, and sent her a message, and she's like, you're fine. Just do this exercise. I'll see you next week. I'm like, okay, okay, sorry,
Yeah.
thank you. But she's like, you're fine. But I kind of like that because she just tells me as it is, and she's a ultra runner, and she was GB runner type level,
Yep.
so she's trained high standard, and she's not going to take any nonsense from me or any.
Yeah. And also I think as well, I think that if a physio who is trains well, if they tell you you need to give this a rest, you're going to listen to them. Sadly, and I know we should never make these snap judgments about stuff like that, but I remember going in after having torn my ACL, went in to see the GP. So first off phones the GP and says, I think I've done something to my knee. And they're like, oh, just take some ibuprofen, it'll be fine. I was like, no, I goes, my physio thinks that I've ruptured my ACL. I need to see a GP. So they were like, okay, we'll get you in. So went in to see the GP. So I sneakily had seen my physio beforehand, and she'd written a letter to say that, yeah, he's ruptured at least two of the ligaments in your knee. He's going to have to go and get a MRI, etc. And I went in, and again, doctor, and again, I'm using stereotypes here. The doctor hasn't looked like they'd never sadly looked after themselves in their entire life. It was, it was just one of those ones that, oh, do you really think you should be playing football? Is that a good idea? And I was like, pardon me? Like, I'm here just to get I'm here to get a referral. I don't need your judgment on this. And then he was like, right, so what we'll do is we'll just give you some ibuprofen. And I was like, I'll hold you right there. And I pulled out my letter and gave him the letter from the physio, which he read. And he was like, oh, could you not have given me this first? I was like, no, because I wanted to see you try to palm me off before you did it. I go, it's just to see your look on your face now. Oh, he was not a happy bunny. But I got shifted through the system quite quickly. So
How to make friends. Actually, Andy, you being just not caring about what people think, you've reminded me of something we're doing at home at the moment. Is going off completely on a different tangent, but we play games at dinner, right? And we normally just play like there's a little game called Dungeon Mayhem and so on. But my husband's a geek. Like, he'll play.
Don't call him that. He's not a geek. He's an educated individual.
Right.
Who likes comic books.
He loves comic books. Loves comic books. Will play Dungeons and Dragons with friends and things like that. Anyway, we were chatting the other day, and I said, "Oh, is Dungeons and Dragons like something you could pick up for dinner and then like, have a campaign and then leave?" And he was like, "Yeah, in theory you could, if you're Dungeon Master." And I mentioned it to my kids, and they're like, all in. Can we have dinner? They're calling it D&D, dinner time Dungeons and Dragons. D&D.
Excellent.
And anyway, next thing I know, I've been told to plan the character sheet for this campaign that we haven't started yet. And it suddenly occurred to me when I was kind of going through it, and I think I was listening to some books as well. I can be anyone I want, Andy. So I can be an absolute asshole if I want to be. So my character is going to be it's just no filter. It's going to say, I'm
no
going to embrace
given.
Andy. Exactly, because I'm like, hang on a second. So I can say anything and then blame my character.
Call your character the NFG, the no fucks given. But don't tell them what the F stands for.
Well, I came up with this big backstory, not realizing that the backstory isn't actually the main part of it. It's like the numbers and stuff. But the backstory, it was like why he got his nickname and things like that. I don't know if I want to share. I'm there going, do I want to share? Because you'd find the nickname. So basically, he'd been an assassin in his previous life, but he got caught. He did get away with it because he didn't get caught on the job. He got caught on the way back from the job. He was taking a poo behind a brickworks, and he got the nickname Shitterbrick. So that's why I went. I was like, brilliant. He's former assassin. He's on a better path now. He's going to do the good fight kind of thing. But he's got no filter. And that's the bit that I was like, when we are trying to change, not that I'm trying to change into this character because that'd be a nightmare. But when we're trying to change, sometimes just pretending you're the person that is more confident, that says what they think, can help you become that person, the person that doesn't care what people think of them and so on. I thought, actually, I could plan it so it could be a really useful mindset tool of, this person doesn't care. I'm going to be more like Alaric, the Shitterbrick.
Shitterbrick. I would call it, to be fair, we call our wee guy the poo assassin because he seems to poo like on the fly half the time. So
he's basically my character then.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the poo assassin.
But yeah, so anyway, you reminded me because you were there going to that doctor. I was like, that is what my character would do.
Yeah.
He would want people to get a bit uncomfortable, probably. Whereas I wouldn't. But I was listening to a book on my run the other day, and it was like talking about if you're not confident in your ability to do something, then you can fake it. So it then made me think of role play, like in your head. You can use it. So if you're doing a competition or trying a new exercise in the gym, you're scared of walking into the gym, you can become the person that is confident with a little just twist of your
Yeah,
mind. What would they feel
um,
like? How would they act? Be
yeah,
that person.
absolutely. I think that's a good way to look at it. It's, sometimes doing that just kind of gets your head out of it. But I also think as well. We were having this discussion with who were we having this discussion with? We were having a discussion at the weekend, I think, but I can't remember who we were having the discussion with about the fact that it's okay to say that you don't know. I think it's, this is why I have a black book of contacts. So if something I don't know, I can refer somebody on, whether if it's like, for instance, somebody who has potentially an eating disorder, that's not my wheelhouse, never going to be my wheelhouse. I've got a black book that I know who somebody to put them onto. Similar with physios, masseuses, other coaches who maybe specialize in a different speciality to what I do, and it's fine to say you don't know, but it's
Or
one of
that you're
those
not the
ones.
right person for
Yeah,
them.
you
I think
you don't know, but I can find out. That's another one that you can use. I don't know, but I can certainly go and research it and come back to you. That's not, we don't need to know everything, and we shouldn't either. That's the whole thing. We're not
I
computers. We're not.
the things that you learn are normally because you've not known something, and
Yeah.
if you're open to having not known it, you'll remember that thing almost more. If you ask the questions, you're inquisitive, you want to learn, you remember those things. I was actually just chatting to a lady on a podcast, actually, Andy, but we're talking about, I'd heard a phrase, and you might know the Buddhist name for it, but it's the beginner mindset. And it's like being happy to approach something as though you're a complete beginner, really keen to learn, to know more. Doesn't matter all of those experiences you've had before that you might be like, it didn't work for me or whatever. They don't matter anymore because you're going in with the beginner's mindset. It's got a Buddhist name. It's like shisha. Anyway, that is a
Sounds
nice.
like it sounds like you've got a speech impediment.
I'm going shh. It's shh. What's it called? Go on, you're googling.
Shoshin.
I told you
Shoshin.
shh. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go. Shoshin.
Shoshin. The
But that,
Zen Buddhism meaning of the beginner's mind. It refers to having an attitude of openness, eagerness, and lack of preconceptions when studying, even at an advanced level, just as a beginner would. Shoshin.
there you go. So any goal that you have, I think it's really good to go in with that mindset because it's
Yeah.
so easy to feel like you have tried something before, but you're not the same person always that you were when you
Yeah,
tried it
exactly.
before. And so I like that as well. I'm like, actually,
Yeah,
I'm
it's one of those ones where I'm going to be honest. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
it's worrying if you think,
If I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. I
sorry,
want to
I
be.
realise I said it's worrying if you are. I didn't mean it's worrying if you
No,
are, Andy.
well,
That
that
sounds
that
rude.
to be fair, that too. If I'm the smartest person in the room, that's a fucking weird room. That's
No,
probably
but
a
you
room
want to
you don't
be,
want. You don't. There'd be a lot of fart jokes and talking about peeing. So yeah, you don't want to be in that room.
but I know what you mean though, because if you want to be people to
It's
build
fine,
you up to
Ruth.
learn
It's
more.
fine, Ruth. You've just outed me as being stupid. Thanks for that.
Well, you're in good company, Andy, because I'm going to put myself there as well. It's fine.
But yeah,
But
you want to act like I wouldn't want to be the smartest person. I want to be the dumbest person in the room because it means you've got folk around you that you can learn from. That's the exciting bit of being in that room. So
that
yeah,
is the same with a skill. It's not just like intelligence, is it? It's
yeah,
if you want to learn something, if you are, if football or martial arts or whatever it is, if you are the best person there, how are you getting better? I mean, teaching
yeah.
other
You don't
people is a
learn.
good way of learning. Yeah, you kind of refining your skills. It can be good to help other people, but to improve and get better, you want to find people that challenge you.
Yeah, you don't want to be the big fish in a small pond. You want to be the small fish in a big pond.
Exactly, exactly. So there you go. Look at that. But we brought Zen Buddhism into it today, Andy.
Yeah,
Actually feel
namaste.
I know, right? You're gonna go and meditate in a minute. I mean,
I know
namaste is
that's sleeping on the grass in the sun, probably.
yeah, you're the napper, aren't you? I actually
Oh,
did I tag
100%.
you in the research saying that napping improves performance and there was a study recently. I mean,
And do you know
we know
what?
it.
I could have told you that without even studying
I thought
it.
that. I thought it's not really a study you necessarily needed, but um, I think we all feel better. I think the thing is that if I try and have a nap, because I'm not very good at napping, even just going and being still and quiet and aiming to nap can be relaxing as well. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a little bit of downtime just to let your brain switch off for a bit.
yeah,
It's always good.
yeah,
Always good.
yeah. Yeah, well, it's your brain being on the go all the time that stops you being able to do those other things, like the beginner's
Yeah.
mindset, because you don't get time to actually think about what's going on. And, if we could just give ourselves time each day to switch off, that would be key. Not easy when you've got a little one at home, though, is it? Always.
No, it's not, but there are other ways that you can do it. It doesn't need to be quiet time. It could be out walking with the dog, even out walking with the wee guy if he's in the pram, still, excuse me, fresh air, out in the bright sunshine. Be nice just to get out and get some kind of fresh air and just sort of get your mind to zone out a little bit.
With your top on or top off?
Taps off. It's taps off weather. As I say, it's over 4 degrees, so anything goes.
So I don't know what the temperature is today. I feel like
I
it
think
should
we're
be
about
warmer than Scotland. It says
14 or
16.
15.
Oh, there you go. It says for you, it says, hang on.
We are currently 16, yeah.
Yeah, but I think you're 16 as well, according to this.
Yeah, that's
Glasgow.
that's dangerous. That's dangerous for normal Scottish people of the translucent variety. It could be could be a very dangerous time of the year.
Yeah, see,
Have
I
a
think,
thought for your ginger friends.
Andy, on Friday, we're meant to be 18 degrees here.
Yeah,
18.
and at that point I would be hiding in the house.
Are you joking?
With a
You go
fan
to
on.
holiday.
I'd be a fan on. I'd be getting in the freezer. I'd be shutting the door behind me, going, "Fuck this! It's too hot. It's too hot."
You can always. Well, are you going on holiday? You've gone
Yeah,
on
I'm
cruises. And...
I'm not too bad. I'm actually not too bad with the heat. I do have to. I am that person though that if I'm going on holiday somewhere sunny, I do need to start use. And I know you're not supposed to because everybody shakes their head. You're not supposed to use sunbeds, but I have to go and do a bit of get a few sunbeds in. Not like 20 minutes come out looking like David Dickinson, like mahogany wood, but like a couple of 6 minutes a week for a couple of weeks beforehand, just to give my skin a little bit of a help before it gets melted off, basically. Because if I don't, I come back like a bacon, like a bit of streaky bacon.
The only time I don't burn very easily at all, and I'm good at putting my sun cream on because I hate
Mm,
being burnt. But if I am ever to burn, it will be when it first gets hot in the UK and I'm not expecting it, and I get caught out, and
yeah.
it's like a windy day or whatever, and I'll be like, oh god, and it's never
It's the
properly
wind and the
burnt,
sun
but
together, because folk are like, oh yeah, it's the wind. It's like the wind makes, for some reason, because it cools you down, you don't think it's that hot. And then all of a sudden the next day you're like, oh, it's that pins and needly kind of pain that's the burnt skin's horrible. It's so painful.
you definitely want to be having the sun cream on your face. I put sun cream when we were living away for that year. I put
Mm,
sun cream on every day, but I noticed that towards the end of the year, I actually have got sun damage now. So I've got a bit of sun damage here, and I've got sun damage either side of my face, and I am pretty sure that's where I sweated. And so putting the sun cream on,
yeah,
that the sides of my face aren't so good, and I've also got sun damage on my legs, which is not brown spots; it's like white spots, which I think is, and you see it more when I tan, and I'm like, oh, and I was good, but living in the tropics, I think it just
yeah.
happens.
But to be
Yeah.
fair, as I say, I start at 16 degrees. I'm also sweating profusely at that point without really doing much exercise. So I have to keep on top of the old sun cream as well.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't touch wood burn very much at all, but I do. Right, well, women obviously don't sweat; they just perspire or whatever it is.
Yeah,
But I always have been. Like as soon as I start exercising, as soon as I start doing things, I'm just pouring. And I remember a guy. I put a I think I videoed after a run or something, and I was dripping afterwards. And somebody, it was a man, messaged me on Instagram. And he was like, "I hope that's not sweat." And I was like, well, it wasn't raining." And
yeah.
I
I hope
sent
that's not
that.
sweat. Well, hope again.
Yeah, well, I sent him that meme, that Formula One meme where they're like, is that sweat or whatever? And he goes, "I'm an athlete sweat." And I sent him that because I was like, yes, it's sweat. It's definitely sweat. But
Yes.
yeah, it's embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing. It's
Well,
natural.
well, it is natural. It is
Yeah.
natural. And people used to say to me, "Oh, I think you sweat more if you're fitter, and I'm like, I've literally always been like this. This is just
Yeah.
me. I
The
think
fittest I've been to the unfittest I've been, I've always sweated the same.
same,
Always
exactly.
sweated the same.
Yeah. So
Maybe a tiny bit more if I'm exerting a little bit, and obviously depending on weather, etc. When you're training, if you're playing football outside, but across the board, I don't. As I say, I start sweating after like my first warm up set most of the time. It's like
yeah,
I always funny, I always go into the gym. I don't know if you were like this. I always go into the gym with like a vest, a t-shirt, and like maybe like a short sleeve jumper or a hoodie or something like that. And by end of set one, I'm like, right, time to get all this off because I'm starting to overheat.
it's the layers have to come off. Layering up is
Yeah,
essential. And
yeah.
I don't know if, because, well, you said you don't like the heat very much, but when we're running, when we're away, I cope with running in the heat like better than some others. And I
Mm.
was like, maybe it is because it's just efficient. It's just, whereas my
Yeah,
husband, he struggles with the heat full stop. But if she's trying to get him to do the exercise, because we go to a running group when
oh,
we're over there, then it's like he's just looking at me going, how are you actually managing?
don't. I remember we went to Mexico and we went to Tulum Gym, which is one of these outdoor on the beach jobs with like the big Fred Flintstone weights, etc. And I hadn't even started lifting any weights yet, and I was already like, I'm like dripping. So yeah,
Yeah,
sweat. Yeah, yeah.
and they don't have chalk in any of those gyms. You're
They've
like,
got sand.
they had sand. Oh, I suppose it was on the beach, was it?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was part of the beach. Randomly, it was named as one of the top five gyms in the world at the time, and I'd always fancied going. So we went to Mexico, and it was like a half an hour taxi drive at the time. I was like, right, we're going. It's half an hour. We're going. Went to it. Gets there. Was going to pay in, and the guy's like, "Oh, so he goes, it's like $15 or $20 or whatever it was," and I was like, "Oh, cool." I was like, "Do you prefer cash?" And he was like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Edinburgh." How? He goes, "Where about in Edinburgh?" I was like, "Oh, I think we lived in Gorgie at the time." It's like, "Oh, I'm from Fairmill Head, which is where we live now." I was like, "What? You working with me?" He was like, "No, this is my gym." It's a guy in Mexico has like one of the best gyms in the world. It's literally from like about 3 or 4 streets over from where I currently am now. The randomest thing in the world. It was very funny. Guy called
It's
Alistair.
That's so strange, isn't it, when it happens like that? But
Yeah.
I know that I struggled with uh, going to the gym abroad because I didn't take chalk with me. I didn't take liquid
Mm.
chalk with me, nothing like that. And they didn't have any in the gyms. I think I ended up having to buy straps for deadlifting in the end because I was like, I'm sweating way too much.
Straps are the way forward. Don't let
I know you
anybody
love.
tell you. Don't let anybody tell you differently. Straps are not cheating. Straps are one of the best bits of kit you can have in your gym bag.
I
They're
wouldn't say they're
class.
cheating. The only thing that I would say is if I was doing a hang or something where I was literally trying to work my grip strength, then
Mm.
I would do, or even farmers walks if I wanted to improve my grip strength. I probably wouldn't use them, but I would use them for farmers walks if I was going heavy for a farmers walk. But
I
yeah,
think what to think about with like things like lifting straps are that um one, obviously it depends on the goal. If you have an aesthetic goal that you're trying to build muscle, I've never heard anybody compliment anybody else on their grip strength, so use lifting straps. The other thing, like things like powerlifting, etc., obviously you're not allowed to use lifting straps, so that would probably be something where you would work to a certain level with them and then work without them because I think kind of the sort of preconceived notion for most people that are it's a very old school mentality. Oh, lifting straps are cheating. They take everything off your grip. They actually don't. You still have to grip the piece of kit while still holding onto the wrap. It takes
it,
a bit of the weight off it, but you'll still increase your grip strength if you're working. If you work a 200 kilo rack pull, or say you're lifting 50 kilo dumbbells for your farmers walks, without lifting straps. If you're lifting 70 kilos with straps, your grip's having to work just as hard, in fact, probably harder than you would be at 50. So you're still training your grip whilst also being able to go for further. So yeah, it's
yeah,
lifting
yeah.
straps are a great piece of kit, really good bit
I
of kit.
find that they would take the
What's in your there's a question for you. What's in your gym bag? If you got your gym bag that you take into the gym, what do you have in it?
Well, I don't take much into the gym. So the gym I go to is more of a like personal training studio, but
Mm-hmm.
it will be a drink normally,
Yep.
a towel,
Yep.
and normally many layers of jumpers, coats, because it's freaking freezing in there when it's cold. I don't, do you know, I leave a pair of shoes in that gym as well. I've got still got my some squat shoes in there as well.
Well, yeah, well that's it. I've got two. I put up something. I think it was last week when I was asking folks like gym red flags, and one of the ones got back was about people's taking massive gym bags into the gym onto the gym floor, and I'm like, yeah, I get that, but I also, provided it's not in the way, I
Yeah.
don't really have I don't really have a massive issue with it, because if I think about it, I've got two like Under Armour, like the bags that you just, the drawstring bags. I've got two of them. So one of them's got my lifting shoes in it, my knee sleeves, and a weights belt, and then my other one's got my lifting straps, my wrist wraps, my a towel, my juice, and stuff like that. So provided
So,
somebody's not leaving their kit all over the place, I would be I wouldn't be that bothered about somebody having a bag in the gym.
so all of that, the lifting straps,
Yeah,
there's at the gym.
they're all there.
The
Yeah,
they're all there. So I mean, I don't even, because it hasn't got a shower facilities or anything like
yeah,
that. So I'm literally going in, doing my session, and
and then
leaving
heading.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I really don't take very much at all. And then I've got a rack and stuff at home. So I do training at home as well, in which case obviously I don't take much at all. But I don't really wear a belt either, but and obviously worn properly, they're great. They can help you with the bracing your core
yep,
and so on. And I often think that probably I would benefit from using one of those. I just, in the past I was like, oh, I don't want to rely on it, but you don't rely on it. I think
yeah,
people
no,
tighten them up
uh,
too much rather than.
yeah. It's one of those ones where you see somebody using a weights belt for every single exercise that they're doing. That's when they start to become reliant on, and that's generally people that have got lazy abdominals, because a weights belt isn't designed to help your back, but it helps your back as an offshoot of what it actually does. It's about abdominal bracing. So, as you already mentioned, it's about bracing your abdominals, which in turn keeps your back in position. So, it doesn't allow your hips to tilt over, any lordotic movement. It keeps your abs flat and engaged so that you don't bend under a deadlift, a squat, anything like that. But you do see people putting a weights belt on for the whole session, and like that's overkill. That's when you do become reliant on your weights belt. Like you don't need to have a weights belt on for lat pull downs.
Well,
There's
I'm
no
the. Oh no, no.
there's
Well,
no
the
reason for
reason
that.
I'm, or any machine, any machine weight. The
Yeah.
only reason I'm thinking that I might start wearing one now is because I've got quite a naturally lordotic
Yeah, and
health
if you
shape.
I'm the same as you, yeah.
And I think that's why I am starting to get problems with my QL tightening up, because I've got this arch, and actually it's when it's arching that it aches more.
Yeah.
And I wonder if actually just even when I think I'm bracing and
Yeah.
positioning myself okay, whether it's just not in a great position when
Yeah.
I'm deadlifting maybe. But I look at my form, look at the videos, it looks fine. But I'm thinking maybe it will help me have that slight pelvic tilt the other
Yeah.
way,
And
maybe.
that's the thing though, if you look at a deadlift and if you look at a squat, the place that's going to get the most brunt is that lower back area, because your pelvis wants to tilt forward to accommodate the movement, whilst your back's trying to stay upright to keep the bar, like in a squat, to keep the barbell trajectory right, similar with a deadlift. And your lower back is the thing that will start to arch inwards because you push your abs through. So yeah, so it's little simple things that you can look at that are just your abdominal bracing as a precursor to the movement. So every time, reset, glutes get
Yeah.
tightened up, pelvis gets kind of rolled back, and you just pull your abs in and down. And but it's something that you do have to like go out your way to think about between. Whereas a belt, once you've done it, it's going to stay in place for the set amount of reps. You then take it off, give yourself the rest, and move on again.
I know something that'll be really useful actually, because it wasn't until I watched people not knowing that I realized that so many people don't know. When people say brace your abdominals, what a lot of people do, and there's no judgment if you do this because a lot of people do it, is that they breathe in. So you shouldn't get thinner. You shouldn't be getting thinner when you're tensing your abs, you should actually almost expand in that area because you're pushing down. It's kind of pushing down and bracing around the middle. So a lot of people I've noticed they'll suck in when they're,
Yep.
and that's not what you want. And that's why the belt can help because you've got something to push against, really, ultimately.
Yeah, and that's it. It's the best way to think about it is, do you remember when you were a kid, and if you've got siblings or even like your parents, when they, well, no, you know how they used to
I
tickle
thought you
you
were
by
going to say
putting,
punch my stomach.
well,
Yeah.
that as well, but fingers in the ribs. That
Yes.
that is how you brace your abdominals. Imagine somebody's poking you, digging you in the ribs, and you tighten everything up. You don't push forward, you pull back, and it's like you're bracing downwards rather than forwards or back. It's like you're going downwards, and that's a good way to think about it on kind of that way.
But
Is imagine somebody's
but don't tickle somebody. Yeah.
no, don't tickle. Just poke them right in the ribs. I've got my hands are very, very good for that because I've got really pokey fingers, and I just know when to find a rib. I'm like, pop. Laura, like I do that to Finlay at the moment. He's like quite tickly and he's kind of where he's currently got muffin top because he's obviously got milk muffin top at the moment. So I kind of tickle him in there and you hear him go screaming. Ah! So yeah, it's always quite funny. But again, it's yeah, I can pinpoint somebody's rib cage quite quickly. I've
I'm
just
good
got
with
pokey
pressure
fingers.
points. Good with the piriformis. I could poke someone in the piriformis quite easily. I really say
Is that your special kill? Is that your special
It's
kill
just
for your D&D character? I
it
kill
should.
via pressure on the piriformis. Ah! And then they have a heart attack and die.
It's just that I don't know why it's my husband walk along. You know, people smack on the bum. I just
Yep.
go, right in the piriformis, and he'd be like buckle, and yeah, good at finding those points. But I had to stop because the physio was like, it's weird, you're very tight in your piriformis.
That's because my wife keeps fucking punching me in it. That's why.
He was like,
He's walking around bracing, going, oh.
It's really bad because he was like, you've injured me. She says that. She was like, have you been doing anything? He's like, no, but Ruth keeps jabbing her thumb as I'm walking along.
Yeah.
So I stopped.
At which point you got a call. You got a call from the police. We've had somebody getting in touch because be it domestic violence. I'm only poking him in the piriformis. What are you complaining about?
I was like, I've got every victory, Andy. We're doing
You
BJJ.
You have to find a way to win. It's as simple as that. How do you win? Sometimes you've got to play underhand tactics. That's how it is.
It's a bit annoying. It seems to be the only way I can win, which isn't.
If that's the only way you can win, it's the win. It's still winning is winning.
Well, apparently not. Apparently, I shouldn't be trying to rely on strength and pressure points in BJJ, and should be getting better at the movement patterns as well. So I'm having to work on
the
that.
movement of finding the pressure point.
Yeah, well, that's it. I just rely on the fact that I will not let go, and I will jab, and I will just be annoying.
It's quite funny. I've got a client, Matt, who's taken up jiu-jitsu, and he's exactly the same. Matt's really tall. He's like 6'4", 6'5", and he's like, Jesus Christ. He goes, some of these guys are like half the size of me, and they're just so agile. I was like, when you're a big guy like us, use your weight. Just rely on them.
And that's okay until you meet a big guy who is agile.
Also agile. That's exactly what Matt said. He goes, you're knackered.
Yeah, because at the moment I'm able to rely on strength because a lot of people that I come up against aren't strong, and that's fine. But that's not fine when I'm a beginner going. It's okay if I'm a beginner going against a beginner, but it's not going to be fine as soon as I get somebody with any skill. Because
that's it.
Then
when you put strength and technique together.
Yeah, but it's hard not to rely on.
It gets scary.
Well, when you want to get out of something or win or something, then you're going to automatically do the thing that you know you can do, which for me is not learning the skill so much. So I'm a little bit kind of like, how do I stop using the strength when it's so easy to access, And it's probably
your husband's like, just please stop doing it. You keep beating me
up. He's so much better at the movement, so he'll rely on the movement, and he's more agile. But his grip strength isn't at the moment. His grip strength isn't as good as mine. So I'll hang on to the gi and just hang on, and I'm like, it and go. But
Hang on, over the top, pull the gi up, throttle,
yeah,
done.
I did
Sorted.
actually manage to choke him with the gi once. He wasn't very a couple of times in a row. I managed to bring it around the back.
Did you grab the belt and just take it off and just hang on to it from behind? I
I've seen
think that's
people do
probably
that.
attempted murder rather than tapping out.
We had to set up a new rule. Oh, you're learning so much about our family, because my youngest is doing it with us as well. And we got taught a couple of submissions, a couple of chokes and so on. And we did find ourselves saying no choking at the dinner table a couple of times, as you'd be walking behind somebody and it's like, and just, it's like, no choking at the dinner table, please.
Yeah, so there's a, do you know who Maurizio Gomez is? Maurizio Gomez was the head of the BJJ Foundation.
Oh,
I don't know if he
yeah.
still is. Let's have a look.
I should know more about BJJ. I really don't. I just
his son's Roger Gracie. Son's Roger Gracie, and I remember when I must have been about 20 years ago. I was training, doing a bit of BJJ, a bit of Muay Thai and stuff as well, and the Maurizio and Roger came over to do a seminar in Edinburgh, and I remember seeing that. That was some serious stuff. But they asked a question. They said to Roger, so what did your dad do to help you become better? Because I think Roger's maybe fought in the UFC, and I'm pretty sure he's won in the UFC and stuff as well. What did your dad do to help you become better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? And he went, well, I wouldn't get to go to bed until I got out of a submission hold. So he basically, from the age of about 3, his dad would wrap him up and he had to get out of it to be allowed to go to bed. I was like, that's one way of learning quickly. Just not at the dinner table.
Do you know, I didn't even know, because I didn't really know anything about BJJ until my husband just signed us up for it, and I had no choice when we were away in the summer. And I didn't know that you could point score in BJJ, so I just assumed that the ultimate goal was to submit someone every single time. So I always was full attack. And the guy was like, "That's great."
Ruth goes for the killer blow every time.
The guy was like, "That's great. You can try it, in sometimes, just so you're learning more defensive strategies that aim to not attack at all, just to defend, just for practice."
Where's the fun in that?
I know, but I was like, oh, and then I found out you get points and so on, and I was like, oh, I didn't know. But saying that, I think when I'm a beginner, it's always better to just get somebody submitted so that I don't have to carry on. I don't think I'm experienced enough to cope with too much. But yeah. No, I'm not very good. But I'll get better.
But that's what it's about. It's about learning a new skill, though, isn't it? You kind of want to be in that place where you're, because it's an enjoyable experience learning new things, even if it's painful at the time.
Yeah, and I'm not.
It's how you learn. I learn better by failure than I do from sitting and trying to watch something.
Oh, I can't sit and learn. And maybe it's good to watch before you go and have a go. Watch and then do it. But I can't just sit and take it in. In fact, I'd probably get really distracted. But it also acted as a chiropractor for me. I had a really tight neck, and he demoed a move on me, and I felt my neck crunching, and I thought, oh no, this is not going to be good. It was the best it had been in ages. So, bit of free chiropractor clinic within the BJJ as well. So if you're old,
plunk, woo, done.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe this is going to be good for my back if I'm just being bent in half, and next thing I know,
bent into bits.
It's a bit weird, isn't it, when you think I'm, paying good money to
get battered.
Actually, yeah. That's it. Oh, that's how they get me in a triangle or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I never thought I'd be doing it, but I'm quite happy to have a go at things.
Go. That's it.
I think I'm getting better at that as I get older. I don't know about you, Andy, but I'm definitely getting better at trying more things as I'm getting older, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Last year I learned to go scuba dive. So, did a course to go and learn how to scuba dive. So yeah, I think it's a mindset that when the older you get, the less that you can do. I'm going to call it bullshit. It's not. It's your mindset. Your mindset when you get older. I think the mindset. Actually, here's one for you. Obviously, we've both had some big birthdays. We've ticked off some of the big birthdays. The 21, the 30, the 40. I was having this discussion with a client, and also a client's sister, because I usually see her in the gym, and we're talking. It was her 40th, and I was chatting to her about it, and she was like, "Oh, so how are you feeling?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm cool. Yeah, all good, great, brilliant, fantastic." And I was kind of discussing that, and I think it's interesting. People that freak out about big birthdays are generally the ones that, generally the ones that don't have their shit together. I think it's
Oh,
like they have that realization of holy shit, my fucking life's all over the place. Whereas 40 for me, yeah, it was cool. Yeah, all good.
40 was great for me, but 30 wasn't. I didn't feel good turning 30 because, for exactly that reason, I wasn't in a place that, like, I didn't have a job that I enjoyed. I was,
Yeah,
I loved having my boys, but I was tired. They were really
yeah,
young at the time, and I didn't like turning 30. And I always say to people, I found it harder turning 30 than 40. And it's
yeah,
100% because when I was 40, I was feeling good. And when
yeah.
I was 30, I wasn't.
It's massive. It's a massive thing, isn't it? I think as well, the mindset of getting older is that the older you get and the more things you lose. Well, actually, that doesn't necessarily. It does if you take things away from yourself, but you know, am I still lifting the same amount of weight in a session that I was 10 years ago? No, but am I happier with my physique now than I was 10 years ago? Yes. So it's changing your outlooks, your perceptions of what it is that you're chasing, but also understanding your limitations at the age that you're at, but also understanding that there are limitations for when you're younger as well. So, there are things that you probably wouldn't do when you were 30 that you now got to like, fuck it, I'm 40, let's do it. Go for it.
And enjoying it. I think that the
Yeah.
reason that we can find that we're not enjoying aging and so on is because we're so fixated on all the things we can't do anymore, rather
Yeah.
than just showing up each day and really doing the things we enjoy. And the key is that you might not enjoy them yet, but those things that make you age well actually are things that make you feel good now. And I keep
Yeah.
saying this, I'm like, a lot of people are worrying about their future health. Worrying isn't going to be helping you feel good now. So instead, make it about now. How do the things that
Yeah.
have you feeling good in whatever way you can
Yeah.
now, and then the future will work out itself because you'll be doing all the things that you need to do. And I say all the things, not all the things that everyone on social media is telling you to do. I just mean all the things that you can realistically fit in and more than perhaps you have been doing.
Exactly, and remember, social media is an extremely skewed view of what some people would hope to think that you think their reality is, because 99% of that is bullshit. Have you seen this one doing the rounds at the moment with this guy who's apparently an influencer in Dubai doing his morning routine where he starts off at 3 a.m. with like putting ice cubes in a bowl with some fizzy water to dump his face in it, then going for a sauna for 45 minutes, and you're like, mate, fucking get a grip of yourself. Like,
He might do that, but I doubt it. B, it's not realistic for the average person,
no,
and
of
it's not
course it's not.
needed. And it's
Yeah,
not needed.
exactly. Exactly.
No.
It's not realistic for that. And I think that's what we have to realize is like the average person takes up 98% of social, or what, 98% of the world. 2% of people, they're outliers. The average person, like if you've got you've got two kids, a job, and a family to deal with, are you going to be able to get up at 3 a.m.? Maybe if one of your kids is puked up and thrown all over
That'd
the
be the
bed.
only reason you
Aye,
get me up at
exactly.
3.
Yeah, the only stuff that you're sprinkling on your face is having a shower because the kid decided to projectile vomit all over you. Like those perceptions where I think people think that social media is real life, and for the majority of the people you follow, it probably isn't. Like I would say that the people I continuously have calls on social media. I'm like, don't like that stuff, but delete, bye bye. Kind of the majority of people I have on my social media that I see their feeds is genuine people like yourself, like Emma, like Claire Tracy. All these people, they are genuine, actual, real people who. If I see something on their social media, I'm like, they definitely were doing that, or that is exactly how they're feeling, rather than playing up to the camera, acting for most of it. And
You know,
that's
I
the sad thing.
it feels so dishonest to do that, doesn't it?
No, it
On
doesn't
social
feel
media.
so dishonest.
It
It is
is
dishonest.
dishonest. But
It is
that's why
dishonest.
I won't do what I eat in a day posts, because if I did what I eat in a day, I would show you probably the ideal day.
Yeah.
Because
But
I'd want you to
also,
know what it could be like. In an ideal day, you might eat something like this, but it's not going to be every day.
yeah, but also as well, like what you eat in a day isn't going to matter to anybody else because they're going to eat completely differently to you. There's never
And
going to be
do
anybody that eats
different,
like you. Yeah.
and have a different energy expenditure, different
Yeah.
height, different,
Different height, different weight, different
it,
goals, different training
yeah.
methodologies. The
Like,
list
I'm
is
quite active,
endless.
so I think
Yeah.
I can get away. I do get away
Yeah.
with eating probably more in that set because of that.
Yeah.
But it would feel like I was, if I put up
It's
like how much I did
disingenuous.
eat, people might go, "Oh my goodness, I can eat all of that," and
Yeah,
then
it's
it
disingenuous,
would.
isn't it? It's
Oh,
one of those ones where you're like, you're doing it to get likes, which I get drives business, but at the same point, you're selling yourself out. Like, get fucking grip of yourself.
I know, and you can get so follow, all these other accounts doing that. You end up
Yeah,
copying them, and so I get it,
exactly.
but I would never do
No,
that because it just
yeah, it's not you.
no.
It's not me, and this is why we do this podcast.
Exactly. Yeah.
The grow
Be it
disgracefully, but truthfully.
truth.
Of
Honestly, there are aches and pains. There are things that
course there
nothing's
are.
perfect, but we're having fun as we're aging, and we're not about to just sit
Exactly.
back and let age happen to us. We're going to
Exactly.
take it on head first.
That's it.
Excellent. Oh, sorry, Andy, I've waffled on. As
Not at all.
per.
And
Any-
on that note, you can catch us on Instagram. Ruth is at Ruth MacFit. That's MACFIT. And I am Andy underscore Wolfpack. If you could, it would be massively appreciated if you give us a little 5-star review on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever it is that you listen to us.
or YouTube.
Yeah, or YouTube. Like, share, tag us in it, and yeah, it all helps the algorithm. It
It does indeed.
makes me
Subscribe
sick
away.
saying that word.
And if you want to have any conversations with Andy about the benefits of
Sweet potato,
he would
or
be,
pickled herring. I'm going to get a
yeah.
message from Claire saying, "What's
Any-
wrong with pickled herring?"
Yeah, any hate on Andy for the pickled herring or sweet potato,
Bring
feel
it!
free to send it.
I will defend my hill. I will defend my hill on sweet potato. My hill of white potato is better than sweet potato. Simple
Oh,
as.
it's for satiety. So there we go. Got that one.
Bosh.
And we'll be back with more cake chat next time, I'm sure.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Ciao,
Goodbye.
ciao.